Welcome to World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss, the podcast for busy professionals who want to plan unforgettable trips without the stress. If you're craving adventure, relaxation, or cultural immersion, but feel overwhelmed where to start, this is the show for you. Each week, we dive into travel tips, expert strategies, and actionable advice to help you save time, money, and hassle while helping you design your dream trip. From group getaways to romantic escapes to adventure packed journeys and budget friendly tips, we cover it all. I'm Ross, your host and travel enthusiast, with over a decade of experience balancing a demanding career while also planning trips to over 25 cities in Europe, all over the US, Central America, the Caribbean, and beyond. I've mastered the art of stress free planning, and I'm here to help you do the same. If you love what you hear, don't forget to follow the show, leave us a review, as well as share it with a fellow traveler. I want to make your next adventure the easiest and most memorable yet. Now, on with the show. Welcome back to another episode of World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss. I'm your host, Ross, and appreciate you tuning in. If you're a first time listener, thanks for joining us. You're in for a treat about where, when, and where to visit in Greece. And if you're tuning in again and you listened to last week's episode, welcome back. I'm excited to take you through this. Make sure if you're wanting to travel more, you tune in and give us a follow. That way, you're able to not miss out on any upcoming episodes that we come out with. We come out with solo tutorials on different topics, whether that's destination specifics, best practices around packing, other strategies from mistakes we've made to help you out, as well as just around points, rewards, as well as miles. And those are on Tuesdays, and then every Wednesday we come out with those expert interviews with different people who have traveled, authors, people who also are experts in the points and miles space. So our goal is to really help you not be overwhelmed, become that confident trip planner. We want to save you some time, as well as I know right now there's a lot of just stuff on social media. There's decision fatigue. So we just want to make it easy, right? We want to be that one-stop shop for you and make and save you time, money, and stress when you travel because we understand you're busy as a busy professional. So without further ado, we will go ahead and dive in. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. And just for today, we're going to go into, right, when is the best time to visit Greece? I think everyone, when they first start traveling, thinks it's summer peak season. I got to go, right? That's when everyone says to go. I'm here to tell you, and I'm not here to poo-poo on anything, but I'm here to tell you the best time to go is going to be those shoulder season months. You're going to get fewer crowds. You're going to get those great temperatures. When we were there in September of 2024, it was high 70s, 80, and it's going to be less expensive. It's going to be quieter. It's best for just couples, foodies. If you are a family that has a flexible schedule and can travel, then great. If you aren't, totally understand. Then you're probably going to have to go between that June and August. It's going to be hotter. It's going to be a lot of fun because you're going to get, right, a lot of the well-known DJs. If you're going to Mykonos and want to party, right, that's where they're going to go. And it's a great nightlife. But it is going to be higher priced. There is going to be more limited availability, and you're just going to have to pay to play, as we like to say. So my suggestion always is, if you can swing it, go in April or May or September, October. Stuff will start to shut down on some of the islands. In that after that mid October timeframe. But if you go early to mid into late September, that's the best time. You get the best weather, best prices. You're going to have a blast. And then if you want to go in the off season, a lot of the islands, some of the stuff won't be open, some of the restaurants, because most people will go for the season. They live in Athens. So, you are going to, most of those will be shut down. But if you want to go to the mainland and explore, that's a good time to go. But it will be cooler. But that's good if you have, budget travel. So if you're a first timer, we went for our first time in 2024. So we had to do the main ones, right? We had to go into Athens. That's where you're gonna, if you want to tune in for the ultimate guide, check out our last episode. That'll walk you through everything just from an itinerary standpoint, what to do, where to go, best places to eat, tips and tricks, those types of things. So tune into that episode. That'll give you that more deep dive. But if you're a first time visitor, you're most likely going to fly into Athens, or you're at least going to have a layover there if you're trying to go to the islands. But my suggestion would be fly into Athens and then take the ferries to the different places you're going. Unless you're going down to Crete, then you probably want to fly because that's going to be a lot further. But from a first timer standpoint, Athens, you got to do some of the must sees like the Acropolis, the Parthenon, Stan Plaka. We do that deeper dive in that former episode. Then you'll want to, if you're more of the party vibe, going to Mykonos, lively nightlife, a ton to see. That's where, that was one of our favorites. We really liked it. And then Santorini, when you go, you got to go see just the caldera. I mean, that view is absolutely stunning and beautiful. But for us, out of Athens, there, Mykonos and Milos, it was actually our least favorite, which is, kind of, I would say we liked it better than Athens. But for between Milos and Mykonos, we really liked those two more. If you are going on a romantic getaway, honeymoon, Santorini, that's a spot to go to. It's very chill, um, great food, but definitely packed. And I can't even imagine going in the summer because even in September it was pretty crowded. But if you go listen to our former episode, we give you some tips on best places to stay because what you see on Instagram sometimes isn't all true. So take a look into that because that's where you're going to save some money, stay in a very central place, and get your best bang for your buck and have the best time. So those romantic getaways, honeymoons, Milos is awesome. That's our favorite island that we went to. If it's going to be less crowded, breathtaking beaches. There's different tours, ATVing. So that would be another suggestion. If you're trying to do party and nightlife, like I mentioned, Mykonos, you have Scorpios, where you can go to on Sundays, Namos. You have Paradiso, which is a nightclub, open air, which, it's a bucket lister that a lot of people want to go to. Then you have EOS. It's similar to Mykonos, but it's cheaper and it's good for younger travelers. So if you're a backpacker trying to save some money, Mykonos probably isn't your best bet, but that's another one. Then you have Athens. They have a bunch just right around the central area. There's a ton to do. There's a bunch of fun bars, a bunch of rooftops. So my suggestion would be just go. If you listen to the former episode, it shows you kind of where you're going to want to stay, all of those details, and you can walk around and find and really just walk into anywhere. If you're looking for more adventure, outdoor activities, you're going to have Crete. I've never been, but I had a buddy who went and he said it was awesome. You can do hiking, there's scenic road trips, different diverse beaches. And someone who does, if you want to look more in detail around this, go check out Santorini Dave. He has some amazing content just around Greece for pretty much all the islands. That's what he specializes in. And then also Sandra Pappas, she's a great resource as well. When we were going through and doing a lot of ours, when I was doing a lot of the research, she has some podcast episodes. It's called the Greece Travel Secrets Podcast, and she does a phenomenal job of diving deep into that. So, I'm experienced, but I would say those are the experts who live, breathe, have been, years and years to Greece. So if you're wanting to dive more into the places that I have not been, which were Santorini, Mykonos, Milos, Athens, go check them out. And also, this is just what our preference was, right? When we went to these islands in the ultimate guide to Greece. So they have some other really good tips and tricks. I would highly suggest checking them out. In addition to what I can help provide. So you'll do that. You also have Naxos, so you can do water sports, windsurfing, hiking trails, and then if you're wanting to stay more on the mainland, you also can. There's a couple other places that you can go. So you could do Zakynthos, which is up to the kind of the west, the a little bit northwest from Athens. So that's a place I've heard amazing things. So there's a shipwreck beach, there's a turtle spot in Lagonas Bay, but that's something that you could check out. And I've heard great things. We just didn't have the time. I would love to go back there. So check that out. Then you have, if you're a food and wine lover, like I had mentioned, you can go to Santorini. You also can go to Naxos. They have amazing seafood, local cheese. I've had friends who have gone to Naxos. I've had friends who have gone to Paros. Both have said they're amazing. When we go back, I think we'll do two of those because I've heard just, they're not going to be as party vibe as Mykonos, and they're not going to be, as crowded as Santorini, but you're going to get the best of both worlds. So I feel like if you do those two as well as Milos, like you're getting an awesome trip, and it's not going to be as crowded. So I think that's when we go back, we'll probably try to do those, and then maybe Crete. But so you have those from a wine standpoint, and then you also have Thessaloniki, which say that quick, right? Some of my pronunciations are never that great, but so check that out. I've heard good things there. It's one of the culinary capitals. They have great street food and tavernas, but again, I have not been there. It's just a place I've heard good things about. Santorini Dave, Sandra Papas, the Greece Travel Secrets podcast. Those are going to be some really, really good um, resources to go check out. So I think it comes down to, do you want to do the mainland or do you want to go island hopping? So I think if you're doing the mainland, if you're a budget traveler, if you're just trying to check out Athens, right? You want fewer tourists, you want to do road trips around Greece. That's where the mainlands are going to be and who's it's going to be best for. If you're wanting more of that beach scene, you want nightlife, you want to just chill, have amazing views, enjoy some awesome food, and you're willing to pay a little bit more, sometimes a lot more, um, I would say go island hopping. Times that you need in those places, depending on what your itinerary is. If you have more time, you can spend more time. Yeah, I would spend 3, maybe 4 days on the mainland. If you're kind of strapped from time and you're in that 10 to 12 day mark, my suggestion would be spend that first night in Athens, take the first ferry out to Mykonos if that's where you're wanting to go. Mykonos, Paros or Naxos, because those are the ones that are going to be the closest. Do just depending on what your vibe is. We always like to spend at least 3 to 4 days in a place. That way we're not jumping from each to each. But spend that first 3 to 4 days in one of those. If you want to go to Santorini, head down there. If you aren't doing Santorini, you always could do Mykonos and one of Paros Naxos, or you could do Paros Naxos for 2 to 3 days each. They're right near each other. And then I highly suggest Milos. I mean, that was our favorite. If you listen to the last podcast, just it was awesome. It's amazing. And then Crete, if you want, I would say 5 to 7 days from people that I've talked to is where is what I would do. That's something that I would love to do, and we plan on at some point. But from a budgetary standpoint, flights, you have direct flights. I'm in Charlotte, so you have direct flights from Charlotte to Athens between June and September. They just started that, of course, the year after we went in 2025. And then there's going to be different ones from the US. You also can take stopovers where if you're wanting to pay with points and miles and it's going to be super expensive to go, you could take right? You could take a setup flight where you maybe fly into London or Munich, stay the night, and then, pay. I think one misconception too when you get over to Europe is flights are super expensive. You can find flights from London, Munich, Dublin, some Lisbon, some of the places that Rome, some of the places that are going to have a lot of those direct flights to get at Frankfurt that might be less points and miles are going to then you can then pay for those flights in points and miles, and then when you're flying to then Athens, you can pay in cash. It's gonna be a lot of times it's sub $100 in cash. So sometimes just strategic ways to save if you don't want to spend a ton of miles to get to Athens on a direct flight. So just some things to think about. It just always again depends on you know how much time do you have off? Do you have kids? Right? I think that's another thing. And if you do have kids, one other thing before we go is probably go to one of the more chill islands, get an Airbnb. It's going to be less expensive than the main islands. It's going to be less crowded, and just go relax. I think that's the best way. I would say take the ferries. They're pretty simple. You'll just go to Sea Jets, find those. Always take the first one out. And then from a budget stays, most of the places on the islands are either going to be Airbnbs, bookings. If you're in the points and miles game, you can check out, through some of the main websites, Marriott, Hyatt, IHG, as well as Hilton. But a lot of those are going to be more points. So it just depends on how many points you have to transfer over. And there's so much good food. I mean, if you go back to the last episode, we dive deep into where we ate. But yeah, I mean, I would just decide, right, when you start to plan that out, how much time do you have off? When do you want to travel? What's your budget? What do you like to do on trips, right? And then from there you can really map it out. And if you have more questions, we do have that former episode, the ultimate guide to Greek island hopping. And you can go take a listen to that. We'll have blog posts coming out. We do social media content series on Instagram at Itinerary Boss. And then we'll have a free downloadable resource of our itinerary. So we'd like to meet you where you're at, whatever your style is, whether it's listening, whether it's reading, whether it's just consuming quick content. So let us know what you think about the episode. If you have any questions, comments, leave them on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, or shoot us a DM and let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and happy to help. And if you're just getting started or you're just like, hey, travel planning's overwhelming, right? I want to be more confident. I'm at a point where I have decision fatigue. I'm tired of trying to open up 30 Google tabs and try to find stuff, read different blogs. Use resources like myself. Use resources if you're going to Greece, like again, Sandra Pappas with Greece Travel Secrets, Santorini Dave, and we created a stress-free travel starter kit, which if you listen to former episodes, it includes a vacation document checklist, a packing checklist, as well as a budget spreadsheet and 5 insider itinerary boss tips. And all of those are compiled over 10 plus years of planning trips because we don't want you to make the same mistakes and learn from our lessons with just different best packing products that, trust me, I bought a lot of bad crap over the years. So I've found some of the best ones now to use, as well as you don't want to be that person that forgets their ID or what happens, right, with forgetting passports or cash or how to strategically, place things so you don't lose those when you're traveling. Plenty of stories there, not myself, people that I were traveling with. So I created that for you to make it a lot simpler, as well as when you're trying to budget for these things, little things come up. So just making it super simple. But go check that out on our website. It's also in the show notes. So check all those resources out. And if you have any questions, again, please reach out and make sure you share this with a friend, family member who wants to travel more, who may have questions or want to go to Greece. And if you think we deserve a 5-star review, go ahead and hit that button because that helps us reach more people who are trying to travel, save time, money, and just travel stress free. So appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll talk next week.